What is New Orleans Talk Network? It's today's hottest topics with an added flair. You get ready because the conversation will be hot and better yet, mobile. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app available on Android, iPhone, iPad, and you can listen to us on the web at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com. Write down our talk line at 504-341-TALK. That's 504-341-8255. Interactive and worldwide. That's what we are. Join in on the real conversation and tell a friend about the New Orleans Talk Network.
Nobody gives you better conversation about your quality of life.
Let everyone know you listen to
The New Orleans Talk Network.
Well, good morning. It's our usual Wednesday, Talk What You Know, and it's the Bob B. Variety Hour, as we like to call it. As you know, for those first-time listeners and watchers, this is kind of just like Hump Day, it's kind of a breakup of the middle of the week. You have tough things going on, tough topics, important topics on our network Monday through Friday. This particular hour is kind of a little bit of respite. Sometimes we'll get a little more serious or something that's really helpful, but most of the times we want to bring something of a little lighter sort to you, and hopefully you find it of interest, if not value. Once again, that commercial for us that comes on right before, I always got to emphasize that you don't have to just listen to us. You can watch us. And as you know, you can watch us on NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com, on your PC, your laptop. You can watch us on same thing, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Listen to us if you have to on the Bluetooth speakers. And my favorite, Chromecast us on your big home screen, hopefully wall-mounted TV. Anyway, we're back with you, and today we have a topic coming up this weekend. As you know, is Memorial Day weekend. We didn't think of anything that was apropos for our show, even though there's a lot of topics out there, but because we've been in the throes, and we are really all year round, of festivals, and what segment of the festivals that reminds me of the most, especially going back to my roots in restaurant TV, are the food trucks. And even though they're not integral to every festival, they become more and more of a mainstay in our economy and also in the success of this ever-growing situation called a festival or an event. Now, what we want to talk about today, for those who are Orleans residents, you know, a while back, I think it was back in 14 or 13, 2000, that they actually promulgated some regulations to allow food trucks to actually go out to our city and sell their products. And we needed this because a couple of things. One is, we had a lot of negative reaction to food trucks. One, because we are a restaurant city. The same type of negative reaction came in when the casino came in with its, not only its buffets, but its upscale steakhouses, etc. And the Restaurant Association had a big pullback and really negotiated some tough terms so that the casino would be able to thrive, but also not intimidate or minimize the restaurant business in our city. Well, the same thing, even more prominent, came about when food trucks started popping up left and right. The threat of the majority of the French Quarter restaurants, where a lot of our upscale restaurants were thought to be in danger, even though it's a different class of usually clientele going to a food truck. But once again, the fear of loss of business drove a stiff lobby against the council and the mayor to actually form tighter rules so that they could operate and still not interfere with the restaurants. But let's just start from scratch. What is a food truck? I mean, years ago, you would see not only vegetable trucks, but there was people who would open up some type of a panel truck, and many of the things with dishes were, or sometimes they'd be just selling prepared goods to workers, because the workers seem to always be all around our city since Katrina, and they, rather than have the time to go to a restaurant or the money, so these trucks would come around and serve them, and they still do, especially in our Latin American community. they will constantly have these several ladies doing a wonderful job of cooking home cooked meals in the Central American style and going around to work sites and selling their wares to the happy recipients who want a taste of home. Now, but let's talk about the more commercial formalized. So it became formalized. A lot of it came about from the TV shows, which, of course, popularized a lot of our situations and usually are trendsetters, where more and more of the large urban areas like New York and also California started developing these rolling kitchens to serve the public during the day and at night in areas that perhaps the restaurants weren't available or certainly weren't in conflict. So what happened is they, in doing the regulations in 2014, the city did several things. One, they defined that a food truck cannot be a permanent location. Even though a truck stays in one space, it can't be overnight or staying overnight. It can only stay in the same place for 4 hours during its operation, and then it has to move somewhere else or back to its wherever it's headquartered or held overnight. So that is one big thing, so it doesn't conflict with a restaurant. Not only that, they making it follow all of the regulations. Like if they want to go downtown, they have to pay the parking meters. They have to keep those fed. There's no excuse for them, no waiver. They can't park close to a driveway. They can't to a fire hydrant or intersection. They have even more stiff regulations that they can't go within 2 blocks of a school, elementary or mid-school, not college, because one is that the students aren't encouraged to be leaving their property of the school, but no more so is that most schools do have some type of food program that hopefully will suffice for the students rather than introduce them to some of these other things. So that's one of the exclusions. Of course, the two biggest exclusions are, one, competition with the French Quarter. So in no way one of the taboo zones is the entire French Quarter. So that way you're not interfering with any of the restaurants or the numerous festivals that go in there. Plus, 2 of the most significant festivals of our city are cited, and one, of course, is the Jazz and Heritage Festival, and the other is Mardi Gras. So during the Mardi Gras season, these trucks aren't allowed, even though you and I both know, if you grew up, you saw some type of food truck. Of course, they would be a variety of things. Some of them would be just taffy. Some of them would be hot dogs, you name it. So those are still allowed. But I don't know, in fact, by the definition, the traditional year-round food truck is not allowed to appear into the Mardi Gras season or certainly anywhere near Jazz and Heritage Fest. Now, they might be able to get a special permit to do the Mardi Gras season like these others, but the general permit does not allow that. So they tacked on a bunch of fees and permits, as the city always does. There's a permitting fee, there's an application fee, there's an annual fee, there's a ID, they have to wear an ID, they have to display it. So I just tallied those up, and on the first year, it's about $650 to actually, if you wanted to start a truck up here in the city. And some of those, like $400, is a recurring fee. And, of course, that doesn't include sales tax. It includes a deposit on sales tax. So if you're really selling business, of course, those additional fees. So it all sounds good. Everybody wants to be a chef, and it is a great advantage for people who don't want to invest the entire overhead in a restaurant, because obviously restaurants, and the way our city's continuing to grow with restaurants, the risk of it being a tremendous success is getting smaller and smaller. So there are two ways to overcome that. For years, there's a thing called a pop-up, which is the easiest thing, whereby you find a restaurant that has a closed night or day, and you negotiate with them a fee for using their restaurant, and you try out the fare that you're going to do, and you can do that on an ongoing basis. So there, it's only now again, you're not making a lot of the proceeds. Most of the money is going to the restaurateur because you're using his or her facility and using their equipment. But it gives you a place to advertise your particular fare that you're going to cuisine and bring in hopefully your friends and people from the social media. But The food truck is like a step in between a pop-up, which is really not a commitment at all, to a full-blown restaurant, because there is a commitment. The trucks themselves, I'm sure by now, because of the proliferation of trucks, you can actually rent trucks. But in the beginning, you had to buy them, and those are pretty expensive piece of equipment, because you had to have it totally fitted out for a kitchen, depending on what type of stuff you're going to serve. And I'm seeing now that we're having so many and so much stiff competition, I'm seeing more and more recycled. The other day, going home, I saw one that had 3 different names on it. On one side, they had a name. On the front of the truck, they had a different name. And on the back of the truck, they had a third name. Now, I don't know if any of those are still surviving or they're going to one of those 3, but that shows you that it's just as plausible of losing your money and you're not developing what you foresee in a food truck as it is in a pop-up or as it is in a full brick-and-mortar store. The only difference is you're not going to be losing the same magnitude of money as building a building, especially if you're not able to resell your building or lease the building that you occupy. Okay, well, I tried to get some more since it's at least 3 years since Orleans has put these regulations in and allowed food trucks to proliferate. I called the city and tried to get information on the impact. I tried to get information, permits and revenue departments. Neither one returned the call. I called 2 council folks. One of them, who's the head of the council, a good friend, her representative said they would try and get the information coming back. Obviously, they didn't get it in time this morning. I was looking to see approximately how many of these food trucks do we have active right now, or this year, or last year, whatever the period runs for the certification, and what type of annual revenue does it bring in to the city. Now, as I said, right now, the initial layout is about $650. So depending on, and assuming those fees stayed stagnant, times 20, 30, 40, you can see it's several $100,000 just for that initial situation, and that's without the sales tax. So it's not the greatest thing to fill all the holes that we have, certainly not our potholes, but it does bring somewhat of a steady revenue into the city and hopefully a revenue to the proprietor. But more importantly, it brings a lot of variety to a lot of folk who may not have the opportunity to get out to a restaurant, whether it's financial or just time-wise. In fact, one of the most common reasons that food trucks, or places that food trucks like to assemble, are hospital-related and medical center-related facilities. And the reason for that is these facilities usually have cafeterias to some degree for their employees, but for the most part, most people want a little something different. Even though they might have a different menu, it's just a change of scenery. So almost to a truck, the ones who go out on a day-to-day basis, or at least a weekday basis, spend most of the lunch period at the Tulane Avenue corridors, starting from Claiborne, where they can pick up the Tulane University Hospital, and working its way all the way down to the LSU and the VA Center. So there's more and more of these trucks, some of them that's their only location. They don't go out at night. They don't do anything. They just go for that lunch and trade. And if you ever pass down those streets from Loyola, you'll see the lineage of people lining up to go to some of the trucks, depending on what kind of variety they have. So it does serve a particular niche because there's not a lot of restaurants in the area. And that is the key if you want to have an ongoing lunch business, certainly, and so much the night business. Now, the other proponent of why it's good, besides giving people opportunities and bringing in some revenue, is that it does give much more of a variety of cuisine. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about this, not only the cuisine, but also we're going to start naming some of the food trucks that I was able to identify with the little research I did. But I would love to hear from you all. You know, our number is 504-341-8255, 341-TALK, about what are your feelings about food trucks in general. If you like them, do you have a particular favorite or a favorite cuisine that comes off, or what you'd like to see food trucks do? So let's hold those questions. Call them in, text them that same number if you like, and hopefully we'll hear from you. And of course, we'll do our raffle on the other side of the commercial, and that's when we'll pick it up where we left off. So take care.
Do what you wanna do. I can't tell you who to sock it to. It's your thing. Do what you wanna do. I can't tell you.
Soul food. And then there's food for the soul. At a time where we live to eat, the Praline Connection restaurant serves up recipes that reach back into days long gone. You know, the kind of meals your mama cooked up for Sunday dinner. Fried chicken with macaroni and cheese and candied yams, homemade meatloaf with garlic mashed potatoes and string beans, or Nolan's filet gumbo. That's the real soul you get only at the Praline Connection restaurant, located at the Kona, Chalmers and Frenchman Street in the Marinade.
This is Remus Bowman. I want to invite you every Monday at 12 o'clock live for You and Your Credit. You can call in, you can ask me questions. Believe me, I've got most of the answers for you. We're going to help you get a good credit score. We're going to open doors for you to have an opportunity to be successful and pay low interest for your automobile, your home, your credit cards, everything that you buy. We're going to put you on a great path to have a successful future. Send me your request for information. I'll be glad to answer your question. Every Monday at 12 o'clock, join me from 12 to 1 Monday afternoon for You and Your Credit, originating from New Orleans Talk Network.
Here at Jones Insurance, your full-service agency, let us take care of all your insurance needs. We provide homeowners insurance, flood, rental, commercial, auto, and life insurance. Don't let the unexpected tragedy destroy your family's future. Here at Jones Insurance, 7603 West Bank Expressway, Monroe, Louisiana, 772. Contact Lois at 504-348-1492.
Join in on Mondays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. for Breaking the Silence with Dr. Patricia Fry. There are no limitations or boundaries. We talk about life, and guess what? That includes you. So download the app today, New Orleans Talk Network, and subscribe on YouTube. That's every Monday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. New Orleans Talk Network, Breaking the Silence with Dr. Patricia Fry.
Y'all know me, this the people person here.
Big homie head.
It's your boy Fred.
This man, big fan.
Right. Listen, we're your hosts of the New Orleans Talk Network's Fan View. Real fans talk real sports. Check us out every Thursday night, 6 p.m.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Nobody gives you better conversation about your quality of life.
Let everyone know you listen to
The New Orleans Talk Network.
That's right. We're here at the New Orleans Talk Network and Talk What You Know series with Bob B's Variety Hour on Wednesdays. Can't get it out of your thing. Remember, listening is good, but watching us is better. Not necessarily me, but our programs, and especially as we continue to start developing those to be more than just seeing who's behind the mic. Okay, as we said, we'd love to hear from you, 504-341-8255 or 341-TALK, either by text or phone, so we can cover this subject, food trucks. And we hope you're finding it interesting because it's something we hear. It's going to stay, goes up and down, I think, depending on popularity. The key here is as long as our economy stays where it is, especially in New Orleans, there are different levels of ability to eat out. In other words, more, just like rent is going up out of the thing, all things are going up. So are restaurants. So some of the restaurants are a good part of the restaurants are getting beyond the average person's price range to do on a frequent basis, maybe a special occasional basis. So this offers another alternative. Plus, with the tremendous growth of festivals. I mean, we have multiple festivals on a weekend on the same day and different locations, of course, almost like our parades are in different routes, but even parades have been shrinking down to one route or one or two areas. So the festivals have grown, and with that come a lot of these food trucks, even though some of the festivals have historically used booths. But again, it's expensive for them to set those booths up. Here they get a revenue, they charge a truck, and really they don't have to do anything except to unhook or whatever they have to do when the truck leaves. So you're going to be seeing more and more of them, but also on our streets. And we said one of the reasons that it's so popular is for workflow, because many offices are not necessarily close to restaurants, or their only choice are fast foods. And even though I consider a food truck fast food restaurant, if you don't sit down and eat somewhere and have a little more a plate and some silverware, then to me it's not a restaurant. Okay, and I know that's being snobbish, but that's just what I've grown up with. I don't like to eat necessarily with my fingers, except for like popcorn, stuff like that. And most of these trucks or any of the pop-ups will give it to you wrapped up and or in a basket and or with plastic utensils. But then you have to go find a place to eat it, whether you take it back to your work, or sometimes if there's a designated place, they might have a picnic table or a couple of chairs that you could sit there and eat. But it's certainly not, it's more the idea of living to eat versus eating to live. So that kind of scenario. But the other positive thing, besides introducing it to places like festivals and also into areas where there's no restaurants, or in high density areas like urban areas where the employees have very little time, maybe just half an hour, might not have a lot of money to spend, so can go down to these, of course they have to probably wait in line, but get a different type of style, not just one thing, not just always a burger or chicken fried, not that anything's wrong with that. And some of these trucks specialize and only do that. But you can see more and more are offering a variety of foods that we might not even encounter. Like they will have a lot of the quote-unquote Mexican restaurants that we call Mexican are really Central American, and they'll be introducing us to Central American foods as well as some South American foods. So the only thing in common is that we know there's a certain spice level in these situations, and certain vegetables and produce that we might not normally use in our foods that we get to. So what we're doing is learning a different culture. We might not speak the language, even though some of these folks are from those countries and will have a heavy accent, but most of them are able to communicate with you and able to give you something of delight. And a lot of them will have some food that you recognize, so that way they will not lose your business to another truck. But the key here is the variety of foods. You'll have some that are so exclusive that some like I say, the original ones, hot dogs, hamburgers, or barbecue. Those are In fact, barbecue probably has grown so much in New Orleans. Prior to Katrina, we had very few barbecue restaurants other than a few barbecue chains. After Katrina, we had even less. New Orleans has never been known as a barbecue place or capital. But because of people who are pit masters, whether they're certifiable or whether they just feel they're pit masters, they've always had some type of commercial pit to smoke and or do barbecue. So this became a natural. That barbecue became a great addition, or sometimes an exclusive, to food trucks. So more and more of the interest was developed for barbecue, I believe, because of the food truck. So much so that now, if you take a look, I haven't counted lately, but there are numerous more chains as well as independents that are always opening up regular restaurants for barbecue. And most of these have gotten starts at a particular festival or with a truck. Okay, so we've talked about the variety. We've talked about those are the positives, near work, events. Besides the festivals that we talk about, there's music venues, like there's some trucks. I remember a restaurant who had a food truck at Tipitina's. He did very, very well. Another one who didn't have anything did very, very well. But he's gotten out of the business now because there are so many food trucks and it is so much competition. But there are other music venues, some of these concerts. One of the food trucks that we're going to talk to you about, they kind of specialize in going to Champion Square. I was surprised. I didn't think Champion Square allowed that. I thought they had their own food venue, but obviously I don't go to Champion Square, so that's why I'm not familiar. But that shows you that sporting and music events are now another popular location for these food trucks to do business. And not only that, there are more and more areas that are saying, hey, let's, especially in the neighborhood, just like we have now our neighborhood festivals, art markets and festivals that have grown up since Katrina, a lot of those are capitalizing on the idea of bringing X number of food trucks together to let the attendees, the neighbors, actually try them out. Like one kind of close to my neighborhood is called Eat More, EATMOOR, not ORE. And that event is on Tuesday nights, and it's sponsored by the Broadmoor Improvement Association. So what they actually do is they bring 4 or 5 food trucks to the parking lot of the Rosa Keller Library on the corner. That's a beautiful old arts and crafts style library that was expanded after Katrina on the corner of Fontainebleau, Broad, and Napoleon. So there's ones where neighborhoods are asking some of these trucks to come on a particular occasion from like 6 to 9, 7 to 9 on particular Tuesdays, and giving their neighbors the opportunity, hey, why cook tonight? Let's grab the kids and go over there. The kids can run around instead of play and think. Perhaps if somebody wants to go in the library, nothing wrong with that. But more importantly, to go sample the fare. So more and more of these neighborhood or these groupings are growing up to accommodate the food trucks. In fact, some of the big cities, not here, they actually have permanent locations. Just like we have a permanent marketplace like our French Market or our Arts and Market, they'll have permanent structures set up with the hookups almost like a travel park, like if you have a RV park. And they'll have it, and those trucks come at least every weekend, but some of them every day. So they have a designated place so someone will know where to go all the time to get some food truck food and, of course, some variety. Okay, so I think we've covered most of the area. The only cons I find personally is because I like to eat. I like to have a nice sit-down, comfortable plate, some silverware. So other than the restaurants bitching about it because of competition, it would only be subjective cons with regard to if you don't like a particular cuisine or you don't like that style of presentation. But I think we've hit all the different locations, and we haven't identified all the locations, but hit all the location types that would lure food trucks to their venues. And as we said, during the weekday, the primary and the working is in that mid-downtown area, specifically Tulane Avenue, and offshoots now on Canal, et cetera, where they will see a lot of people in a concentrated period of time and offer their food. Now, as I mentioned, I didn't get a lot of assistance from the city getting specifics on numbers and dollars and cents, but at the same time, I was able to go. There were 2 clearinghouse on the websites that I found. One of them is called a cute name, Roaming Hunger, with a big mouth on it. The other one is much more definitive. I think it's either Food Trucks NOLA or NOLA Food Trucks. And these particular websites offer a service for a charge for food trucks to actually get registered. They would get not a full website, but a section like a big block where you can click on, and it would expand and give more details with regard to the types of food, their normal location, their hours, who's the owner, etc. So, but each one of these are paying sites, so not every food truck is included within these websites. So what I did was combine those two. We're going to go ahead. It's time for our break again. When we come back, we're going to tell you how many I was able to find and just go through that list, see if you recognize any, and also tell you some of the ones that I found that aren't on the list. So why don't we take our break, come on back, and let's talk specifics on what food trucks are out there. Take care.
Soul food, and then there's food for the soul. At a time where we live to eat, the Praline Connection restaurant serves up recipes that reach back into days long gone. You know, the kind of meals your mama cooked up for Sunday dinner. Fried chicken with macaroni and cheese and candied yams, homemade meatloaf with garlic mashed potatoes and string beans, or Nolan's filet gumbo. That's the real soul you get only at the Praline Connection restaurant, located at the Kona, Charters and Frenchman Street in the Marinade.
Happy Merry Mondays. It's your girl, Mary J. I want you to tune in with me to Real Talk with Mary J on New Orleans Talk Network every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Then follow me to blogtalkradio.com/Real Talk with Mary J at 10 p.m. It's going to be a Merry Monday every Monday at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. You've just tuned in to New Orleans Talk Network.
Are you looking for a home to live stream your next event? Give us a call here at Bethesda Community Event Center, the only place on the Gulf Coast that can host and broadcast live your wedding reception, your baby shower, business seminar, and any other special event. Give us a call at 504-708-9454 for more details.
Hi, this is Jill Samuels with Faith That Works. Join us every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time and 12 noon on New Orleans Talk Network as we change the lives of people with the Word of God by equipping the body of Christ to evangelize the world while reconciling people back to God. Let us continue to carry the water to the desert because Jesus is the living water.
Stop this hauling water to the sea.
New morning show alert. New morning show alert. The Warren Ballantyne Show airs daily from 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, bringing you the news you need to know. The Warren Ballantyne Show, now on the New Orleans Talk Network.
Nobody gives you better conversation about your quality of life.
Let everyone know you listen to
The New Orleans Talk Network.
That's right. It's the New Orleans Talk Network, Talk What You Know, and the Bob B. Variety Hour. And I can't stress enough, you can listen to us, but you'll enjoy us better if you watch us. Don't forget, try if you can. We'd love to see you because I know you want to see some of us. And it's certainly that way you can put the face with the words, and hopefully all that adds up together. As we mentioned, call us at 504-341-8255 or text us. We'll be happy to entertain any of your thoughts on our current topic, food trucks in New Orleans and vicinity, or any other topic. If you want to change the topic, we're here for you. Okay, as I mentioned before, we looked at some as much as identifiable impact we could find, and that was $650 per truck when you first opened up, with a residual of $400 plus on annual situations. The truck had to be annually inspected, there's all these taboos where you can park, how long you can operate, So it's very, very controlled, and that's because of which is good. Anything has to be controlled, even the restaurants, but mainly because of competition with the other tremendous number of eateries that we have in the city. So I also mentioned that we wanted to try and get information on specifics of food trucks, one to pass along to you. Should you like to try one or see if there's one that you have an interest in, or just to tell you, ones that we've been able to find. As I mentioned, we went to 2 websites that act as clearinghouses. They charge these food trucks to get a little advertising, get a particular block, and let you expand and find out details with a picture of their truck. And between the 2, I've been able to identify 44 trucks. But as I mentioned, some of these will have a name with no information, and I don't know if that means they're so new they haven't given the information, but that doesn't make sense. More than likely, probably these are trucks that were in existence that maybe are no longer and still have paid their fee for the year. There's also trucks that I've experienced, and we'll talk about that before the end of the day, that I found out via the restaurant, that the restaurant has expanded beyond their walls to take advantage of the competitive food truck business in addition. So it's not in lieu of the restaurant, even though some of them might have started with the food truck first, and we'll give you some examples of that. But let's just start down. We put them in alphabetical order. Let's just start down, see how many we can get through, and tell you about it. The first one has a name. I guess it's okay to put on this air. It's Baby's Badass Burgers, New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, that terminology, I guess it certainly grabs BBB, the Better Business Bureau, and gets them attention. Obviously, their claim to fame, as we mentioned earlier, is burgers, and they had a lot of the sides. So the big thing here, though, this one is kind of specialized in for events. And I didn't mention, but all of these trucks are I would say all, I'm speaking out of turn, but a huge percentage of these trucks are looking for catering business, because there's so much downtime that they have. So they'll do an event, whether it's for an office, a birthday party at your house, a wedding, anything you want. So they're always looking for this and give you that opportunity. So this particular one really seems to be specializing in events and catering, and is not necessarily hitting the streets like some of the other competitors are on a day-to-day basis. The next one, I believe it's closed, even though it's called Black Label Barbecue. It's smoked barbecue, which we just mentioned, how barbecue has become so prominent in our city now, and also with the food truck business. If I remember correctly, there was a young guy who was a pit master. He got a lot of certification. He had a little pit started, but he actually began with the food truck and then had a little restaurant on, I don't know if it was Dryades or Carondelet, going toward town between Napoleon and Louisiana. Unfortunately, he and his chef split, and after that, their business sunk, so now it's been taken over, and it's not even a barbecue, it's strictly a lounge in that area. But so Black Label Barbecue may or may not still be in existence in a food truck. Here's one I couldn't find anything on, B&G Finest, F-I-N-E-S-T. I don't know what B&G stands for, whether it's a person's name, etc., but I could not find anything other than the name in one of the websites. Same thing here. This is an interesting name, the Boxcar. Kind of like that name, but at the same time, there was nothing on it. So it was a big black box itself with just the white lettering of the Boxcar. Now, here's again another one, burgers. So you can see burgers do proliferate, and originally, well, like I say, the primary food served on these trucks. Burgers, you heard. And it's a huge variety of burgers, and their specialties are putting creative toppings on the burgers to make their burgers stand out. And their favorite location is like we said before, in the corner of Loyola and Tulane. They want to be right there at the beginning of the Medical Center Road with all the hospitals and the medical centers, especially Tulane right there, and the library, so they can pick up the library trade or any of the commercial trade that would be in any of the buildings on the other side of Loyola. But that's burgers, you heard, so if you don't want to get in your car and you don't have the car and you don't want to be walking far to a burger place, here's one, especially with the different toppings that it has, so it'll give you a little difference in the standard burger that you get at the fast food. Now, another one that we sounded interesting, sounded like a dessert cart. It's called Cocoa and Cream, but again, didn't find any. So I don't know if that was a coffee, because you'll see there's one other one. It's actually a coffee truck only. So. Nowadays, coffee houses have become the proliferation. They probably more coffee houses opening up than restaurants, even though restaurants are still proliferating and growing like crazy here in the city. So perhaps that one, but I could not find it. Remember, any of these, if you want to write down their names, you can Google them. I didn't go beyond these websites, but you can go ahead and Google them and see what they say. And then I'm sure they'll bring them up. Even if they're closed, they'll give you an idea of what they did serve, or give you more information how to contact them should they still be viable, find out where they go, and or if you would want them for an event. Now, one that I've known for a long time, that crepes. Hopefully you know what a crepe is. It's a very thin, like pancake, very French, okay? And these are usually rolled and stuffed with different elements. And you can have both sweet ones and most people know crepes, Nanu, crepes. That's a famous restaurant, French with dessert, but crepes Suzette's. So most people know crepes as a dessert crepe. But nowadays, there's savory crepes, so you can eat for lunch, just like you would eat those wraps and stuff. It would be the same thing, but of course much lighter, which I like, is I don't care for a wrap, and because the bread is so heavy, the wrapping instead of the tortilla. I like these because they're much thinner. So there's one called the Crepe Cart, and this is run by two ladies, Samantha Salitha and Tracy Kish, and it serves both sweet and savory crepes. But it's actually done out of a push cart, and it really is not on the streets of New Orleans. A push cart is kind of fun for those people who used to know in Jack's Brewery when it first opened up. It was part of the push cart revolution that started in Boston, where people, another avenue of retailing would be, instead of committing sort of like a pop-up restaurant, you would have an actual wooden cart with wheels, just like people used to deliver in the neighborhoods, flowers or whatever, and it would be permanently stationed inside a place, and you would sell anything you had, products, services, etc. So they have that. In fact, they decorate it differently if you want a special event for it, but theirs are not really for the street. It's strictly for events. And the other one, one of the oldest that I know about, is Crepes a la Carte. This is one of LSU's Dr. Mervin's son, and Kevin Mervin, he and I believe it's his wife, started. They first started with a little cart, and also working in just a small part of Broadway, right at Tulane, in the back of what's called the Mushroom. The Mushrooms was a record place. I don't know what it is nowadays, but this was like their closet. They only served people through the window. And they saw how well they did, so they created a cart, and they started doing the festivals. Now they have multiple carts. And so what you need to do is, if you like crepes, and again, they have mushrooms, they have all kinds of stuffings. And I'm sure there has online. You can go to Crepes a la Carte as their online website, because they might still have the little takeout place. But very, very good. So you can have either breakfast or lunch. A couple of more, and then we got to take a break again. Crescent City Eats, and this one's known for its po' boys and local food: red beans, rice, jambalaya, gumbo. Kelly Dorgan is the proprietor, or was the proprietor, of Crescent City Eats. I've heard of it. I've not tasted it, and they did not say where they favor to go. So you'll have to look. Now, the next one, I believe it's the opposite. Instead of the truck coming first and the restaurant coming after, the initial restaurant, and that's called Dat Dog. And I think If any of you are familiar, if you're not familiar with it, that's strange. They were really one of the first restaurants, again, in a little hole in the wall on Ferret Street, as Ferret Street started coming back after Katrina, which became the Restaurant Row. Grew so big, they moved across the street and expanded, took over Old Service. They have a huge outlet there. Beyond that, they grew so much, they now have, I think it's either 3 or 4 locations or maybe more. There's one on Magazine that's just as popular. There's one in Frenchman in the Quarter, and I think there are 2 other locations, maybe one across the lake. I'm not sure on that. But again, they started with the restaurant, a single restaurant, then saw how lucrative it was, added the truck as they started to expand their restaurants. And as for people who've been there, their specialty is hot dogs. Now, of course, they mainly use brats and other different types of sausages, but all kinds of toppings, great drinks. Most of their places have outdoor seating, so especially with our great weather, we love to do that. I think it's something, if you haven't tried it, it's a lot of fun for the family as well as a lot of events are stationed there. Before I close, one more, there's one called Diva Dog, and here's a situation where a young lady took the same concept but wanted to fuse it with New Orleans food. So she had like red beans, she had all different toppings, crawfish etouffee, etc. She started with a shop on Magazine, didn't do well on Magazine, but now has her food truck, and that's Diva Dog, and it's a great name, and she's a very talented young lady. Now we go ahead and take our last break, and we'll come back and finish up the rest of these trucks, and we'll see you in a minute.
You lift my heart up when the rest of me is down. You enchant me.
How does a crawfish or shrimp etouffee sound? What about a piping hot cup of gumbo? Or a catfish platter with soft shell crawfish, catfish, livers, and pickles? And that's just for starters. What about entrees? If this is getting your mouth watering, then you need to come to the Praline Connection. Our down-home Cajun Creole-style restaurant has been providing soul food at affordable prices for over 20 years. And our pralines are delicious. We're a restaurant, a gift shop, and a candy shop, all in one. Bring your friends and enjoy an amazing meal today. Come see us at 542 Finchman Street in New Orleans, or check us out online at www.pralinconnection.com, and be sure to like us on Facebook. You can also give us a call at 504-943-3934.
Are you looking for a hall to live stream your next event? Give us a call here at Bethesda Community Event Center, the only place on a golf course that can host and broadcast live your wedding reception, your baby shower, business seminar, and any other special event. Give us a call at 504-708-9454 for more details.
Yo, no, it's a people person here.
Big home ahead.
It's your boy Fred.
This man, big fan.
Right. Listen, we're your host of the New Orleans Talk Network's Fan View. Real fans talk, real sports. Check us out every Thursday night, 6 p.m.
Hi, this is Jill Samuels with Faith That Works. Join us every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time and 12 noon on New Orleans Talk Network as we change the lives of people with the Word of God by equipping the body of Christ to evangelize the world while reconciling people back to God. Let us continue to carry the water to the desert because Jesus is the living water.
Stop this hauling water to the sea.
Now New Orleans has a choice. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app for your mobile device or listen at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com.
Here at Jones Insurance, your full-service agency, let us take care of all your insurance needs. We provide homeowners insurance, flood, rental, commercial, auto, and life insurance. Don't let the unexpected tragedy destroy your family's future. Here at Jones Insurance, 7603 West Bank Expressway, Monroe, Louisiana, 772. Contact Lois at 504-348-1492.
Nobody gives you better conversation about your quality of life.
Let everyone know you listen to
Good thing during the break, excellent producer Mike reminded me the old man forgot to do the raffle. I mean, the first time I've forgotten that, so please excuse me. So we'll go quickly over that and then finish up the few remaining food trucks we can get in within the hour. As for, we've got some pictures going up. These are, well, of course, this is the father and his daughter and son. Charlie Marks is on the left, of course, wearing one of the sun hats. His lovely daughter Hattie, 3 years old, and his son Jack, 9 months old. They actually won the Sun Hat Jazz Fest, which is 3 weeks old. As we told you, we don't give up. We keep pulling till we get someone response who is interested in receiving the gift, and so therefore this is 3 weeks old, but better late than never. So we appreciate Charlie. He works for the title company, Crescent City Title, and we appreciate him go ahead and wearing the hat. And his little daughter was so cute. She's going to said one of the others, even though she likes both purple and pink, she was giving one of the others to her best friend Lila. Isn't that great to teach children to be so generous and instead of being greedy like some of us used to be? Anyway, now as for the binoculars, we're going to run that again. We ran it last week. Wasn't able to get, several times we pulled and didn't get any response. So because Memorial Day's here and the festivals are here, we're going to go ahead and run it this week, and we'll bring you a new prize next week. I apologize for that, but the important thing is we still want to go ahead and get someone in using the binoculars, because it's great for the concerts, it's great for the festivals, it's great for sporting events, which of course are coming up. So as you know, all you do is register, call us here, go to Bob at rreview.com, give us your full name, your zip code, and your email address so we can contact you. Okay, now that's it for now. Let's go ahead and we have a caller. Okay, why don't we go ahead and see who's on the line before we finish up. This is Bob. Who are we speaking to, please?
This is Grace Coleman.
Hi, Grace. How are you?
I'm doing very well today, thank you.
You sound like you call it.
I'm sorry, go on.
I said we've got a good connection, but you sound distant. If I understand, you're calling from other than New Orleans. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. I'm in South Carolina.
Wow. Which city, may we ask?
Columbia.
Columbia. Now, is that, I'll show you how ignorant I am. Is Columbia the capital of South Carolina?
Yes, it is, as a matter of fact.
Well, good.
It's where USC is housed.
Wow.
University of South Carolina.
I see. Well, I knew Grace years ago. She was a native of New Orleans for years and years, and then moved up to South Carolina because her daughter and her grandchildren, obviously all of us who have children, family, want to be close to them as we get a chance. So how long have you been up there now, Grace?
Well, I've been up here since Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah,
I evacuated New Orleans and lost everything there, and I just haven't found my way back home yet.
I understand. And so, Grace lived in Lakeview, and she had a beautiful home, and unfortunately, it's quite understandable. So many people could not get the wherewithal, whether it's financially or just the psychological part, to rebuild. I know my closest friend lost his house from water for Katrina, and 4 weeks ago the poor gentleman had a fire. So he says,
"Oh my gosh!"
Yes, he said he's rebuilding the house and putting it up for sale the day it's finished. He's not going through that again. This is to have to experience a double tragedy like that is really awful. So we understand. We wish you were here. Now tell us, do you know anything about? Are there food trucks at all, or especially with the university there? They probably do have some, huh?
Yeah, there are food trucks here. And they seem to be going very well from what I understand. I've never eaten from a food truck, though.
I understand.
But they seem to be immaculate, and they they furnish you with certain meals. Like they might have three or four really great meals that they're noted for.
Exactly.
And that's what they serve from the truck.
Right.
They don't venture away from those recipes. They stick with that recipe. And they seem to be doing very well from what I understand.
I think, generally speaking, across the U.S. and maybe other countries, we don't know in the other countries, they are doing extremely well. Ours, and when I say extremely well, that's probably large and it's only because of the huge number of restaurants and eating places that New Orleans continues to grow with. It grows faster.
Okay, I wasn't even thinking of that.
It grows.
That's a major factor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But universities always do well with these because the young kids are always looking for a quick on-the-go, but variety. They don't want to just eat in their student union or their cafeteria. So here they can go. So whenever there's a university involved, there's usually trucks that service that university do extremely well. Extremely well. Well, Grace
that's what's happening here.
Well, Grace, for those who don't know, is an artist, and I've asked her to, when she has a chance, to submit us some digital pics of her work, and we would love to show them to the audience because I think they're very good quality. I'm a big art fan and have a little bit of a collection myself, so that was one of the things. I don't remember. She had just, if I remember correctly, before you left, you were just really in the beginning stages of your art. Was that correct?
I've been with it for a while. But
okay. All right.
I wasn't as confident then as I am now.
Oh, yeah.
But I also have a granddaughter that's picked it up unbelievably well, and she is just magnificent. She is unbelievable.
Great. Now, does she specialize in any particular media, like watercolor, portraits, or anything like that? Or she's
she does it all. She does it all.
Fantastic.
From all pastels to paint. As a matter of fact, she just came and rated my canvases. She needed some canvases, so she needed a big one. So she took a big canvas with her. And said she was working on something. She'd let me know later.
Okay.
So I
well,
thought that
if
was
you have
fun.
a chance, if you have anything of hers, send a couple of hers as well to me. And let me take a look because we'd love to
I
to
sure
show
will,
you.
yeah.
And we want you to call us back because it's always good to have an old friend to talk to. Not only that, because there's some new features coming out we're going to be announcing probably next week that I think you'll definitely be interested in interacting with. So I know it's early for you over there, and I do apologize for that, but we show you that if you're interested in the show, you'll get up no matter how bad the inconvenience is.
Well, yeah, I've been having computer problems too, so that's why I'm running very late.
Oh, no problem. As long as you got in.
I came in early, and then the computer froze.
I understand. That's the advantage and also the curse of technology. Okay, Grace, we got to go. Like I say, stay tuned next week, and so you can hear our new feature, and then please plan on calling us back, okay?
I sure will, and have a great show. You sound wonderful, and I'm really enjoying what I hear.
Thanks so much, sweetheart. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, dear. Okay, I don't know how much time we have left. Looks like that much. So I don't know whether it's worth 2 minutes. Do we have 2 minutes left? Is that right? 1 minute. I'm going to go real quick over some of these. I got too many to name. Places like Drago's Restaurant has a truck, but for events. There's a place called Food Drunk that made the King Cake Burger, which I have no concept. There's some that specialize in grilled cheese. There's Korean food, Japanese food, waffles, Thai food, barbecue, as we mentioned, tacos, you name it. So as we mentioned, this is what is the real advantage of just in these 44 trucks that we have in the city, and we might have a heck of a lot more. As I mentioned, the Tasty Treat new restaurant on Tulane Avenue has a 3-year-old truck, I think, by the same name. So what's good about it is you get a huge variety for anything you're interested, whether it's from soul food to a foreign national to some upscale twist on our local food. Okay, we hope those besides Grace has enjoyed the topic. It's always interesting to me because, that's my background on food. We look to see you next week. We have, I think, a very good feature coming on next week. Talk to the gentleman, and we're going to be announcing some upcoming segments that I think you'll like. Take care and have a good week. See you from Talk What You Know.